In this podcast episode, Dr. Diana Hill explores the common misconceptions around pursuing goals and dreams, particularly the belief that discipline and brute force effort are the keys to success. Instead, she introduces the concept of wise effort, a more sustainable and aligned way to invest energy that honors personal values, leverages individual genius, and fosters psychological flexibility. Throughout the conversation, Dr. Hill shares personal stories, research insights, and practical frameworks that help listeners identify traps that derail their progress and reveal alternative pathways to growth and fulfillment. Dr. Hill begins by challenging the popular notion that people are stuck because they aren't trying hard enough. She explains that often individuals are actually exerting too much effort in the wrong direction, overworking in areas that deplete rather than renew energy. Whether it's overanalyzing work projects or obsessing over relationships, brute force effort can lead to exhaustion and burnout. Instead, she emphasizes the value of tuning into a wiser center that guides energy toward regenerative activities, akin to a car battery recharging while in use. This approach is not about pushing harder, but about being smarter with how and where you direct your energy. The conversation turns toward New Year's resolutions as common examples of misplaced effort. Many people resolve to go to the gym more or adopt stringent diets, only to discover that the effort becomes a source of stress rather than joy. Dr. Hill points out that underlying motivations often go unexamined, such as thinking walking with a friend doesn't count as exercise or getting caught up in tracking every biomarker. These rigid approaches focus on what's wrong rather than what feels nourishing, causing people to spiral into self-criticism. She argues that aligning activity with natural interests, character strengths, and intrinsic motivation produces more sustainable momentum and greater satisfaction. An important theme Dr. Hill explores is the human tendency to equate hard with effective. She acknowledges that growth can feel satisfying, like accomplishing a challenging workout or mastering a skill, but warns against the trap of needing everything to be difficult to validate its worth. This mindset often roots in early life experiences and societal messages that valorize struggle and constant hustle. It can also reflect a biological disconnection from the body's signals for rest and regeneration. She highlights the liberating power of letting go, surrendering the need to force outcomes and instead cultivating self-compassion and curiosity about what truly works. Dr. Hill uses the metaphor of a bird trapped in a kitchen to illustrate common reactions we have when stuck, either pushing harder against an immovable barrier or giving up entirely. Both lead to suffering. The way out is to shift direction, to turn towards an unexpected door. This requires psychological flexibility, the ability to adapt one's thinking, feeling, and behavior in alignment with deeper values rather than rigid patterns of avoidance or control. People who develop this flexibility tend to experience stronger relationships, better coping skills, and more meaningful lives. Courage and self-love are key facilitators in stepping through the open door toward freedom. Another trap discussed is the mismanagement of energy, which can manifest as overuse, underuse, or misdirected effort, often because the effort isn't aligned with core values, but is driven by an avoidance of discomfort. Dr. Hill shares a poignant example of a friend stuck in a purgatory of an unhealthy relationship, where fear of painful change keeps energy trapped and saps vitality. The avoidance behaviors, whether through distraction, numbing substances, or mental chatter, cause ongoing suffering. Paradoxically, confronting discomfort with courage guided by values can bring the most energy and liberation, even if the process initially feels hard. Dr. Hill challenges the belief that fixing external problems will lead to lasting happiness, urging listeners to reflect on their own experiences with shifting life challenges. People often think, when my house remodel is finished, or when I lose this weight, then life will be better, only to find dissatisfaction reemerge in new forms. She encourages embracing the present moment with all its imperfections as the foundation for well-being, rather than chasing a mirage of perfect conditions. This mindset fosters a deeper sense of freedom that is not dependent on changing external waves, but comes from a stable inner perspective. Dr. Hill shares her personal journey of struggling with disordered eating and perfectionism, describing how her early coping mechanisms eventually became harmful patterns. She recounts a pivotal moment when seeing herself in a mirror evoked compassion not only for herself, but for all the people struggling similarly. This compassion became a powerful catalyst for change, allowing her to surrender rigid control and pursue recovery authentically. Her story highlights how love, whether for oneself or others, can mobilize the courage necessary for difficult transitions and wiser effort. A key insight Dr. Hill offers is that many people chase goals that don't actually meet their deeper yearnings. There is often a promise narrative: if I just reach this finish line, I'll be happy. Yet the finish line keeps moving, and the pursuit becomes exhausting and empty. Through coaching examples and personal reflections, she illustrates how uncovering the underlying desires, such as ease, connection, or confidence, can redirect effort toward more fulfilling avenues. True satisfaction arises from being connected with these deeper values, not just external achievements. The discussion also explores the difference between avoiding discomfort and learning to hold space for it. Dr. Hill contrasts her current role presenting to large groups with her earlier professional experiences, noting how her relationship with difficulty has transformed. Now she presents from a place of service, aligned with her values, rather than approval seeking or control. This shift allows her to engage with challenging situations without being overwhelmed by fear. She encourages cultivating presence with discomfort so it no longer governs choices, enabling more authentic engagement with life's ups and downs. At the heart of the conversation is the concept of genius energy, which refers to the unique combination of a person's talents, interests, personality traits, emotional intelligence, and character strengths. Dr. Hill frames genius as a neutral resource that can be nurturing or problematic depending on how it is applied. For example, a strength like persistence can support growth or lead to burnout if overused or misdirected. The process of identifying one's genius helps clarify where to direct energy wisely and how to create environments for these strengths to flourish. She stresses that embracing one's genius is not narcissistic, but a recognition of one's authentic potential. Dr. Hill outlines how self-limiting beliefs, stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what's possible, can trap us in cycles of avoidance and fear. One method she shares for working with these stories is to acknowledge them without letting them dominate by symbolically holding both the belief and the values that guide us. For instance, fears about being stretched too thin can coexist with core commitments to fun and relationship building. By bringing values to the forefront, individuals can navigate uncertainty without being paralyzed by self-doubt. This practice builds psychological spaciousness, enabling more adaptive and fearless action. A final critical distinction made is between goals and values. Goals are often outcome-focused and can't carry us through inevitable difficulties, whereas values are enduring principles that provide motivation even when goals falter. Dr. Hill encourages listeners to clarify the values underlying their goals, such as connection, creativity, or service, and to focus effort on expressing those values through the process itself. This perspective reframes success as a function of how we engage in pursuit rather than solely reaching a target, allowing for greater resilience and fulfillment. Towards the end of the discussion, Dr. Hill highlights the contrast between self-esteem and self-compassion, emphasizing the latter as a more stable foundation for navigating challenges. Whereas self-esteem fluctuates with external validation and performance, self-compassion involves unconditional acceptance and kindness toward oneself. This mindset cultivates resilience and helps individuals sustain healthy habits without harsh self-judgment. Dr. Hill encourages listeners to foster self-compassion as a core practice to break free from the relentless, performance-driven cycles that drain energy and motivation. Throughout the episode, Dr. Hill stresses that pursuing your unique genius in alignment with values is not selfish. Rather, it benefits the broader community. She explains that each person's authentic energy contributes to collective well-being, creating ripple effects in families, workplaces, and society. By tending to one's own strengths and well-being with wisdom and self-love, individuals become better able to serve and inspire others. This interconnected view positions wise effort as both a personal and compassionate path that enriches the world beyond oneself.